We're building tomorrow,
but we're human today,
where technology meets us,
and ideas lead the way. From business to connection, from vision into sound,
we turn the boldest ideas
into something real and loud. The synthetic echo,
where human meets machine.
Create it, build it, grow it,
Push beyond what you have seen.
The synthetic echo, the future starts right here.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Synthetic Echo. I'm especially excited today to have my guest, Tiffany Sharpe, on. I'm going to read my AI bio about her, and then I'm just going to share my thoughts about it because I hate just reading off a sheet. But after 2 decades as a high-level executive, a personal crisis threw her into a world of fragmented, overwhelming support systems. The experience revealed how poorly our systems are designed for people in survivor mode. But instead of just recovering, she decided to build a better way. Tiffany is now the founder of Diamond AI, a company building a trauma-informed AI platform to help people navigate life's challenge with compassion and clarity. Her story forces the critical question: how do we build technology that understands human vulnerability? And for anybody who has followed this show or have followed in my work, you know, a part of my passion is understanding the way people tick, understanding what goes on in life. So I am so excited for this rare opportunity to not just talk about technology, but to talk about the human compassion part and how this molds together. So welcome, Tiffany. Thank you so much for this.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And I'm excited to be a part of the show and to share all the things that we've learned and discovered along this journey.
Awesome. So let's get started into it. I don't even know your full journey yet. As I said, I like to listen as learn as my listeners learn. So if you're comfortable, share with me your journey, share with me the executive position, share with me what brought to this point, and to create and the aha moments you had along the way.
Yeah, so I have been in the oil and gas industry for over 20 years. I've done a lot of, high value projects, led a lot of different incentives and system implementations, and graduated from the University of Denver magna cum laude. And I had something happen to me about 6 years ago, and I experienced a very profound trauma. And in that moment, I went from being able to function and be a very type A person to not even being able to change the ink in my printer. I completely forgot how to do Excel. I kept locking myself out of my house. I wouldn't leave to go to the grocery store. All of these things, and again, it's not about me, but this is what trauma does to your brain. And so it's amazing, right? It's amazing that you can go from being somebody that's so high functioning to somebody that just can't even function with basic tasks. And so along that journey, I created the Diamond Place, and we focus on classes, nervous system regulation, letting women know that they're not alone. But more importantly, we are building a resource platform called May, and we can kind of get into that a little bit more later.
Absolutely. Well, I want to touch on the first part because I think my card's on the table. I don't believe that I've experienced a very crazy trauma in my life, and so I'm coming more from a book reading sense versus a participatory sense. Yet from what I've kind of understood and been around some people who have, it's very interesting in the sense that it's often very hidden. It's not like having, like, if you lost an arm and physically lost an arm, people will be like, oh, you have one arm. But when you're experiencing trauma in this way, I just kind of want listeners to understand we don't always recognize it. And it is often very confusing how a person was one way for so long and now they're someone different. So yeah, just share a bit about that. Let our listeners understand that a little
bit. So just to give context around trauma, right? So trauma can be a car accident. It can be something, sexual stuff. It can be all the things, right? It doesn't have to just be something traumatic. But how your brain responds is that your prefrontal cortex, gets hijacked, basically. So I tell people it's like you're on fire, like your brain is on fire. You're constantly scanning you're hypervigilant, right? And so somebody that's gone through, say, for war, and somebody that's experienced PTSD and whatever that looks like for them, right? It can be medical PTSD, it can be, there's so many different types of trauma. Like basically 80% of us or something like that have experienced trauma. But how your body responds to it is different for all of us. And so, but yeah, you can't think, you can't function. And so you forget things. You can have night sweats. You can have shakes. We call it fawn, flight, freeze, all the things, right? So you can just completely blank out, you can zone out. And so you can respond to somebody, like somebody could say something, right? And all of a sudden you're triggered and you go from 0 to 100 really, really quick. And so we tell people it's not your fault. It is our responsibility to heal, right? And to be aware of these traumas and these triggers. But it's not your fault that your body is responding this way. It's actually, if you look at the science, it's beautiful. Like our bodies were created to do this to protect us. But in this day and age, right, it's almost like we've evolved in other things, but our brain has not evolved. And so how do we get ourselves to calm down and learn how to get out of these trauma, right? And I always say trauma comes with a lot of drama. It's big emotions. It can completely change your personality of who you are and how you do things. And, it's unfortunate. And so I think if people feel like they're going through that, you're not alone, and just want to give you encouragement.
Well, with that, like the little bit, and again, not necessarily directly about trauma, but the little bit of I've learned and understood about neuroplasticity and the way the brain operates is a lot of these things create patterns. And one of the hard parts with patterns is once it gets triggered, it needs to run its function, right? And so on a smaller scale, it's kind of like if someone cuts you off in traffic and you get all angry and you yell, it's near impossible for a human being, once that gets triggered and this is the pattern that they're going to follow, just to turn around and say, I'm not going to do it, right?
Yeah, no, it's very challenging.
What is process. And so what I really want a lot of people who are listening to be encouraged, who may not, I guess I want to go both ways, who either may not understand it or may be feeling it and feel as if they shouldn't be feeling it. Because I'm assuming that that's a part that comes along with it. It's like, well, I shouldn't necessarily feel this way. It doesn't make logical sense, but I do. And then so you just try to will yourself out of it, which is, this is something that's actually happening on a fundamental biological level. This isn't as simple as,
if there
I
was,
don't like bugs, so I'm going to stay away from bugs, right?
100%, yes.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, please.
Oh, I always say, I apologize. I always say if there's a will, if I could will myself out of trauma, right? Like with every ounce of my being, I would never wish this on my worst enemy. And I would make it happen. And I think that's where a lot of people don't understand that it is your body, like you said. And sometimes, certain triggers, like you mentioned, I'm not an expert or anything in neuroplasticity, but I do understand trauma and nervous system regulation and how when something happens, you have this cognitive dissonance that kind of comes in. And, I could be sitting at a computer screen talking to you, or say, typing something, and maybe something triggered me. I completely can just like almost forget where I am for a moment in time. And I have to bring myself, you'll hear me often several times during this conversation, taking in deep breaths, regulating my nervous system, getting that nitrous oxide. There is a huge thing about re-traumatization, right? And talking about your story and sharing it. And it can take you back to those moments. And you're right. If it is so hard to change, right, as humans. And I think trauma has such an impact in our society more than people realize. The person that cuts you off, the person that's having a bad, day at the grocery store. I often think to myself, what is happening to this person behind the scenes, right? And I am guilty of being the person that causes somebody else a bad day, right? I'm an imperfect human. But I think in understanding trauma and understanding how it shows up and how, something as simple as a conversation about who's going to buy the eggs then turns into a fight. Well, it wasn't really about the eggs, right?
Right.
what was the trigger point? What was the thing that caused it? And what are the patterns behind it?
Mhm.
And we're not, helping people figure that out. We're a non-clinical space, but what we are providing people with is the resources and tools to know, okay, this is how I'm showing up and this is why. And then here's some ways that you can work on regulating your nervous system. And it was
Mhm.
going through all of those experiences, like calling for resources, getting all these things. We expect people to be able to navigate the system. Well, they can't,
Yeah.
right? You can't.
Well, no, because it's I from the bits I understand about the emotional side of it, it's you're interfering with logic and illogical things. Like you don't think it's necessarily logical. You don't always think that there's a need to run this way. But something you touched on earlier about us being this is a protective mechanism is a fantastic it's a fantastic thing for people to realize. Like again, the brain is this really funny thing. There's times I control it. There's times I can dictate what goes on in there.
Mhm.
Yet the brain also acts very independently, right? Like I don't know why I'm afraid of heights, and what happens to my body in heights is insane. It's like if I could control that, um, I would do all these crazy things because I love the exhilaration of. I don't want my wife to hear this. She can hear this, and she loves roller coasters. I love the exhilaration of roller coasters. I hate the fear and the paralyzing feeling it puts me into, right? And that's
Mhm.
my brain acting all on its own. And I just want both sides like to take time to realize that's it in a nutshell. Like if you want to go down a point of blame, I guess you could, but that's really not going to help anybody. And please don't blame yourself. Like recognize the pattern and find ways to break the pattern, right? So
Right. No, 100%.
yeah.
100%.
All right, so let's integrate the technological side. So you started the breathing regulation, which as a side note, I think again is fantastic. I love it. My daughter is 7 and in grade 1, she's learning her breathing exercise for emotional regulation. So I love that. Where does technology start to fit into this? Where does the AI world and technological world making impact for help?
Yeah. So again, when you're in trauma and your prefrontal cortex goes offline and your amygdala isn't working, it's the basic logic, right, of order of operation of steps. So someone who's not in trauma and is just functioning normally can say, okay, step one is I need to do XYZ. Step two, I need to do this. Step three. But when you're in trauma, that process is gone. And so what we've done is we are utilizing AI and we're creating a platform called May. It stands for My Absolute Essentials. And so it's multifaceted if I can share all of it with you.
Mhm.
First, you enter your story only one time. And so instead of calling around, finding access to basic support and having to tell your story over and over and over again, you just enter, we'll use a car accident in this example. I was in a car accident. My partner passed away. They were the sole breadwinner. I need to figure out, housing. I need to figure out a job. I need to figure out all the things, right? So in that moment, you're in crisis. And right now, you're handed a resource list and you're kind of given, a caseworker will just say, okay, here's the resources. Let me know if you need help, but you really need to do this. You need to figure out what's going on. Well, you have no idea what to do, right? Your brain, your whole entire world has just been flipped upside down. And so
Right.
that's where our software comes in and it helps guide you step by step. Step one, you need, to contact a funeral place. Step two, you need housing, like it just all of the things. And then it's giving you gentle reminders to let you know, hey, you've still got this going, right? Because I'm sure and from knowing from experience, right? Calling all of the places and doing all of that, going through all of that. It takes like somebody with a PhD. I mean, and this isn't about me, but I have my master's degree. I could not figure out, I just kept getting the runaround. And it's like, oh, you make too much money over here. The hours, change. And so, in crisis, you're trying to figure out what you just qualify, what you can do, and that's not fair. And
Right.
so we're using AI to help bridge the gap. And for me personally, I use AI for so many things like writing emails and different process concepts. I think people have to be careful as well. Like you do have to train AI. AI does
Mhm.
have its limitations, but I think that as you train it to respond how you want it to, and as um, you know, utilize it to be a companion for you, like generating quick emails, or, I have a profile that I use that's AI that is my voice. And so what I've done is I've uploaded different videos and different writing styles. And so I will say, hey, I want blog content about XYZ. And it spits that out in my voice. It knows, how I talk and what I say and how I write,
Right.
and all of the things, and puts that together. And so I think, again, it's just such a beautiful tool to really help people who are maybe struggling. Like, even if it's something as simple as like, how do I, calculate in Excel, or how do I contact this person, or whatever it is, right? Just things that you can easily utilize, and it gives you a step by step process. And that kind of helps eliminate that exhaustion and that fatigue that you have with cognitive um, issues after trauma.
See, that's such a brilliant idea, really. Like it's again in my technological world of what I do, I never even thought about that simple process because when you're in a moment where part of your brain, as you said, the frontal cortex shuts down, amygdala, I'm going to mess up these terms, takes over. Basically, your fight or flight response takes over, and logic starts to think. Like it's what a great tool to have between is this good, is this logical, what do I do, what do I remind myself with? Like I know on an AI side, I often bring ideas to it. I make it very clear that all my AIs have to be brutally honest with me, and they are. They sometimes call me silly, and I let them be mean to me. But that way, when I bring an idea, I'm like, listen, Claude or Chad or Gemini, I need you to be brutally honest. Am I going to look like an idiot if I do this? And there's been times it's told me, yes, don't do that. That's a bad idea. But it gets over my bias, and I think that's in a healthy state of mind where I need that, right? I can't even imagine in an unhealthy state of mind when it's so easy just to let everything slide. How important that would be.
Yeah, no, 100%. And just having that navigation, having that guidance. Yeah, and calling you out on your stuff, right? Like,
Hmm.
and I know there's all these funny memes going around the internet of like, AI said to do this and I did it, and AI says it's fine. So again, there is training and there are things, but I think people don't realize is that you can train your AI to understand things like your business, and
Hmm.
and yeah, tell it to take the time to compare it to scholarly research, right? Like, but again, it just kind of gives you that outline of that process flow of where you don't have to spend the extra time thinking about that. And honestly,
Right.
I don't think I would have been able to get to where I've gotten to with my business without it. And yes, we still have human emotion and logic and process, and does this and really make sense, right? And call me out on my stuff.
Right.
But just even, for entrepreneurs, like, how do you connect? How do you easily go through email and find a specific subject matter? We can use that. We can use AI to create amazing generated images that represent your brand and who you are. I mean, there's just, so many things that AI can do. So,
Well, it's amazing on that side. The other day, I had just a flood of ideas in my head, and I had no idea how to share it, how to verbalize it, or anything. And I just pulled up I've been using Claude a lot more. And I pulled out my Claude, and I was like, I just need you to visualize this. I need you to create a visualization of this. And I spewed it all out, and it did it. And it asked the right questions. And then now it allows me to articulate it to be able to move on because like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like as I'm thinking about this, that's another hard part is you're trying to explain to somebody how you feel or what's going on, and if they've never been through it, they have no idea. Yet this can even help articulate that so people understand it.
yeah, 100%. And yeah, if you don't understand trauma, if you don't know, and validation, right? Too, of
Mhm.
like, um, I'm going through this, or I'm experiencing whatever XYZ. And it's like, oh yeah, that's a normal response. So it's almost like you feel like, okay, this isn't, I'm not alone in this, right? And so
Right.
And then that's the vision and the mission behind everything we do, is just to let people know that they're not alone.
So, and if it's okay, I will gladly cut this out because I want to ask a hard question if that's okay.
That's
Because
okay.
it's something that's on my mind. I have seen people, and we've all heard stories though about people who create too deep of a connection with their AI because the AI is always validating and it's always in your corner, especially in a time that you need somebody. I could see how that could happen. So, what safeguards do you, not necessarily with your program, but like do you in general put up to be like, hey, at the end of the day, this is still an AI. It is not a replacement for human connection
Yeah,
in that
yeah.
regard.
No, 100%. So like thought validation, right?
Mhm.
I still go to counseling every week, so with AI, I will say something like, hey, I'm feeling this way. And it's like, yeah, this is validating or whatever. I also I have to train AI again, keep it short and sweet, right? Like, because sometimes I think AI is really great. And people, I don't know if people realize this either. You can select in your settings whether you want it more friendly, whether you want it less
Mhm.
friendly. And so I have to say, like, simplify this. A lot of times I do it for meeting research. But yeah, you have to have that. So I prepare the AI and I have meetings like one-on-ones with people. I ask everything about, the person, their business, because I want to connect with them. And
Right.
then the one-on-one piece, right, is still connecting with the actual person. And even us, I could have researched everything about Nathan, but
Yeah.
talking to you, I'm never going to know all of the intricacies of Nathan, right? And so that's
Right.
where I don't think AI can ever replace us.
Yeah, I love that. There's something different. I feel like I've recorded a few of these episodes now, so I feel like I have to stagger the release dates just so I don't talk about the same thing over and over. But there's something different about humans and just the way we connect with the world and we connect with each other that transcends just logic and transcends just physical body or touch. It's like, what example I've used is AI might be able to tell you the algorithm of music, but it won't be able to tell you why this song makes you cry. Or it might be able to
Hmm.
tell you all the gases in a sunset, but it doesn't tell you why, and it can't understand why you feel in such awe while looking at that sunset, right?
Right.
And this is where a human companionship is still, we connect with other humans, it seems like, on this level, and it's all healthy. So first of all, kudos on talking about going to counseling every week, because I'm very happy to hear in many senses that there's still that, for lack of a better word, that human connection. Because it's so, I do think that it'd be so easy to shut down and just say, I'm doing better with AI. I don't actually need the extra help. I feel like
Yeah.
that'd be an easy statement.
No, for sure. And with anything, right? So I guess it's just, validating your emails, even
Mhm.
though we generate them, even though we generate the meeting notes, we still review them, right? And so I kind of view that as counseling the same, even though I'm asking ChatGPT, say, for some thoughts and things that I'm experiencing with trauma. And I'm getting validated that those are legitimate, responses to what I've been through. It's still nice having that human connection and saying, yeah, that is, it's like double validation, I guess, just like we
Absolutely.
would reread emails. And yeah.
Now, other than I like how you shared with a lot of people that they can change the settings, the friendly, the short, the long. Because I don't know about you, but I found since the last update, man, AI has gotten very long-winded. So
Yes.
I've had to work on that. Do you set rules with AI as well? Like with Chat GPT, for example, you can set a memory rule. Like one thing I do for it sounds like a weird one, but I give all my AIs a moral code, because morality is so different from person to person, culture to culture, internal, external, blah blah blah, all the rest.
Yeah.
I want to make sure as it's advising me, I give it a moral code that is in alignment. So do you give it rules as well to help
Yeah,
you?
so I do. I've done what I call, like, say I'm this person and say I'm a psychologist, from this point of view, or what, I mean, whatever. I'm not going to give you the exact ones that I
Sure.
use, but
Okay.
and I say, act as if I was this, right? And do not include any of these things, right?
Mm,
Like, and
yes.
and make sure you think about this. I always do like the long responses, right? Because I want to know that there's it's not just something that I'm coming up with out of left field, right? And that there's, validation with some of the thoughts and the concepts, and especially in trauma, right? And how we respond to trauma. how it shows up for us, right? It's super important to also have the science behind that,
Oh,
and the
absolutely.
logic. So yeah, there's definitely rules with how I utilize my AI. There
It,
has to be, I think. Otherwise, it probably could
oh,
just free roam, free willy, and just go all over.
well, I still remember the time I broke Grok. I was using Grok and having a conversation back and forth, and I was talking about just news media and propaganda and everything else like this. And then I was trying to compare it to other wars in the past. And I kind of got it through going through a loop. And I'll never forget, it just started repeating a word over and over and over and over and over and over and over for about a solid minute. So that's the other thing, too, by the way. AI, it can often sound like it always has the proper solutions, but you definitely want to figure out how to validate it. I do find that it's much better than it once was when it comes to information, but every once in a while you get that drift or the hallucinations that happen with it, right? So
Yep, the AI hallucinations.
yeah.
And the cool thing about the platform that we're building is, like I said, we're training it behind the scenes,
Mhm.
and we're utilizing other technology to bring in that information, right? So we're really utilizing it to bridge the gap. So
That's amazing. Okay, so if I were to recap this, because this is so cool. The AI May does a couple of things. One, it helps people organize what needs to be done in a time that they're just really not processing checklists,
mhm.
right?
Yes.
And something else you contributed that we didn't spend a lot of time on, but I love the fact that you said it is, yes, retelling your story once is what it is, yet the constant retelling of your story is not always a positive impact.
No.
It can create a negative impact. So it also saves you from putting it in once, and then that's that. It helps guide you. Now, it's not going to make the phone call for you, but I'm assuming it does the research for you as well, or helps you with the research around it.
It does. And on the back end, it actually is connecting with case managers and nonprofits, sober living facilities, letting them know that you're in need of services. And so the overall plan is that it will be faster and people can get access a lot quicker and not have to go through and, again, here's a resource list, call these places. It'll know what the parameters are. So
Mhm.
is this place, say you're looking for shelter or you're looking for housing, what are the hours of operation? What are the requirements that you actually can even be here? Do they take animals? Are they maybe, say, LGBT friendly? All of the things, all of the barriers that you would need to know about that, you will know within this, and it's all laid out for you. And then again,
Yes.
on the back end, it's everyone's being connected, and so
I
super
just
super excited for this.
I love that because I'm thinking about not too long ago. I was going for, this is going to sound like this is like the most horrible analogy, but whatever. I was going for business grants for my business, and it's like you apply to one site and it's like, no, your product isn't right for this. You apply to another one, it's not. So eventually I just threw it into AI and I said, find me the ones that should find me, and it filtered it out perfectly. And again, it just sounds like it's doing that at such a high level to make sure that you're not wasting time at a time that you don't want time wasted. And it's, as you said, connecting you to the right people. So then
Yeah, yeah.
on top of that, it's also validating. Like it gives people the ability to say, hey, I feel this right now. Is that okay? Or is this right? Or how do I respond to this? How can I
Yep.
manage this? So that would be accurate to say.
Yeah, so it has like a trauma chat box, right? That
Mhm.
will do not only that, but also is connecting with like resources. So there's, is this normal how I respond this way? Or, it's 7 p.m. I need to find a food bank or I need a counselor, just all the things that you can imagine that come with trauma. And I can't go into all the specifics, but it's not just AI, right?
Right.
And the fallacies. There's also like the logic behind it to make sure that, sometimes websites aren't updated. We don't even track housing. Did you know that we have no way to track housing?
No.
How many places actually have availability if you need a place to stay? How many sober living facilities actually have beds available? All the things that we just don't track, knowing that we have all of this amazing technology.
Mhm.
And so again, it's just We're hoping to revolutionize how people get access to care and how people can get treatment or get a place faster, quicker, and, feel confident in the process.
Mhm.
And like you said, I was so tired of this, I just gave up. I think that's what's happening to so many people. I mean, even talking with so many case managers and different nonprofits, they have said that they don't even know how to navigate the system. And so
Right.
we're expecting people at the worst moments of their life to go and navigate these very, very complex systems. And so, yeah, we just really want to help people get the right resources in the right time.
It's interesting you say that too about the certain non-tracking is I was with an organization where we would have one day a year where we do a charitable event, but it was boots on the ground. It wasn't like just raising money. We would actually go, like we picked a boys and girls club. We paint the walls, plant trees and things like that.
Mhm.
And one year we picked a women's shelter. And in the fascinating part, and this was so good, we weren't allowed any social media. We ended up obviously getting the address, but it was almost impossible to find unless you were to have it. And all this makes sense because you don't want the the bad person to go find the people as they're trying to find a safe space, right? So like even more and more in that background, it's so good to have something that's a trusted, connected source, right? Um,
Yeah, a
yeah.
100%. A hundred
Um,
percent.
all right, cool. So for the last, I appreciate all this, and for the last 5 minutes, how can people reach out to you? How, like, what can you offer them? Whereabouts are your locations? I know I'm Canadian, and I know you're in the U.S. Does it work in Canada? Is it the U.S. only? Most of my listeners are in the U.S., but does it work right now in the U.S.? Like, tell me about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do
Yeah.
people
So
connect with
we're,
you for this?
yeah. So you can come connect with us at www.thediamondplace.org, and we are everywhere. We're an online space. So, we can connect with anybody, anywhere, at any time. Obviously, there will be some lags in communication depending on where you are and and hours. But our platform for May will be launched in October, and we are excited to get all of the information out to everybody and connect with everybody. And if you're going through trauma, I would say my biggest thing is know that you're not alone. Don't give up. Sometimes deep breathing doesn't work for people. It's cold plunging, or it's meditation, or it's running. If you don't know what's going on with you and you're in a lot of pain, or, you're reaching for drugs and alcohol to numb or to feel better, you're not alone, and there are ways to reconnect. And I'm so sorry that you're going through that, but just know that you're not alone, and we want to help you as best we can.
Yeah, that's an amazing message, and I definitely, yeah, I'm not even add on to that. We're just going to leave it at that because that's an amazing message that we are not alone, and it's there's a path out of it. Like,
Hmm.
yeah. Um, any final thoughts? Anything left to say? I just want to let people know I've had actually your website has been scrolling across the bottom as well for anybody who is been. We're going to have it in the description and everything else like that. Tiffany, do you have any final thoughts after that absolutely beautiful final thought that we probably could have just ended on?
Yeah, no, just thank you so much for having me, to the community. If you see a need for this and you want to bring May to you, please reach out, visit us. We are partnering with people. There is never any cost to the user. And our platform is scalable based on size. And so we never want cost to be a burden to anyone or to be a barrier to getting this tool out there, because again, I think it's going to revolutionize how people get access to care, and hopefully, give people more clear pathway of how to get things taken care of. So,
This is also a very important part I would like to ask instead of just wrapping it up.
yeah.
For other people who see the value in this and want to support the effort and the message, whether it be verbally, whether it be financially, can they find that on your site as well?
Yes, you can. Yep. So again, it's www.thediamondplace.org. And then our hashtag, or our whatever our social media is, at Diamonds Break the Cycle.
Awesome.
So yes, thank you so much.
Yeah. So please, if you're out there and you're like, hey, this is a great service, you're not necessarily in need of it, but you know people who are, let's reach out, let's get them help. And if you're in a blessed position where you are able to donate and help, it's I just want to say on a personal side, there's a lot of organizations I like, and there's a lot that I don't. But what I love about an organization like this is, what everything you're giving goes towards. It's not like a big nameless organization that is sending food somewhere or something somewhere where you don't know how many cents to a dollar are going towards something. Here we have something being released in October that's going to have real impact for a big way to help people. So please, if you are looking for a place to give this year and support, I really want to highly recommend reaching out to thediamondplace.org, reaching out to Tiffany, because this is what I like to support. I don't like to support the big guy. I like to support the people who are boots on the ground and helping out in this direction. So
yeah, well, 100%. Thank you so much.
So thank you everybody for listening. Tiffany, again, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate the sharing. I appreciate the vulnerability. I appreciate how the AI is really helping. I think this is a really cool intersection. We talk so much AI on how it makes businesses money and how it makes workflows happen and how it just makes our life easier. But yet we don't talk about this practical use in this psychological world. So I honor you, and I thank you, and I appreciate you for sharing everything today.
Yes, and thank you so much again. Really appreciate it. Thank you everyone for listening.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a good one.
We're building tomorrow, but we're human today. Where technology meets us and ideas lead the way.
Business and connection, growth in every sound. The future keeps on calling. Can you hear it coming now?
Where human meets machine. Create it, build it, grow it, and shape what comes between.
The future starts